I'm here. Hello. Hello, Mark Atwood here on the, what day is it? Friday. My God. Friday. How's everybody doing? Let me just check I've got everything working. Okay, good. So, yeah. I was just watching this amazing video. I'm going to dig it out for you. It's The Downfall of Tartaria on Reality Check, which is Jay Widener's channel, and Jane Evershed is on there, and I like her. She's really good. Something for you to watch later. Really, really good. Let's just have a listen.
They just made it, and they used it to decorate because they understood the true purpose of art.
And so in the Renaissance, the art takes on almost a photographic quality.
It does, yes.
And then we have the problem of Leonardo's paintings only being a few microns thick, which seems really kind of impossible if you're using oil paint.
Yeah, very interesting discussion about Tartaria, how everything was infiltrated. Jay's talking about 700 years disappearing. And Jane is a very bright person I would like to speak to at some point, if possible. Yeah, she's talking about the true purpose of art. I haven't watched it all yet, but it's interesting that one of the key messages I've had over the last couple of years is that we should be more expressive ourselves. Poetry, music, writing, painting, sculpture, because it's extremely powerful. If you look at all the weird sculptures that are popping up, I mean, the world's already covered in weird sculptures. There's a paedophile statue on the side of the BBC. There's one in the next town here. They're everywhere, right? There's a particularly weird one in a place called Ceuta, which is an enclave, a Spanish enclave in North Morocco. I used to have to go there to have my passport checked in and out. Some weird shit there, really weird shit. You know, and I've got this theory as well that, caveman paintings on the walls, that they're not records of what the cavemen did, because cavemen were far more advanced than we think they are because of Stanley Kubrick and Fred Flintstone, of course. What I think they really are is them showing that they understood manifesting. So they draw themselves spearing a buffalo, and then they go outside. There's the buffalo, the spirit. Job's a good one. So yeah, it's worth looking into that subject of art more. Also, before I let Anya in, I just want to show you, we've got quite a busy day, a very busy day on the channel, and I'm very excited about something that's coming up. So here's the channel. Yes, so there is. Didn't mean to press that button. That was the other day. Yeah, so tonight there's two videos coming up later tonight. One is this interview with Dr. Raghu, which is about nanosoma, which is amazing stuff. That's only a half-hour video, so that's a short one coming up at 6 o'clock GMT. But the one I'm very excited about is this one, which is this is the lovely Gillian England, and this is the stone circle she took me to. And as I predicted, the camera doesn't capture what we actually saw, but it is still magnificent, and it's a nice little film. It's about 40 minutes long, so don't miss that. And don't forget, whenever you go to these videos, always go to this bit, show more, because all the links for everything relating to the show, getting on my email list, the live events, and all the things I recommend, they're all there. Excuse me. Friday afternoon. I've just had lunch. What else can I tell you? The Manchester event is sold out. I thought there was something wrong with the shopping cart, and there was. Okay, I'm bringing you in, Anya. Get ready. Get dressed. Put your clothes on. Oh, it's too late. You're in. Oh, there you are.
Yeah.
Dad jokes. Dad jokes.
In shit for making these shit dad jokes that are not even funny.
They are funny.
They're definitely not.
They are to me.
Sometimes the odd one I'll give you, the odd one.
They get me through the day, dad jokes.
No,
bought-
do you know what? I think I've had a lifetime of it with my dad. That's why I've just got no tolerance for him anymore. Apologies.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting him.
For sure.
Yeah, it's well, I bought one of my sons a dad joke book for Christmas, and I was like, "Oh, it's a dad joke book," and he went, "You buy me one of these every Christmas," and I went, "I know, that's why you're so funny."
No, he will inherit it. My brother is the carbon copy of the dad jokes from my dad, and it is genuinely the worst. Now there's 2 of them. It's horrible.
Oh, Shannon Ramey says, "Good morning, love and light from Anaheim, California. I was just playing the Rumble video of me performing in Anaheim this morning to somebody who'd not seen it."
Synchronicities.
But she says, yeah, exactly. She says, "Mark, I've seen that son too." Yeah, I mean, I told you about it on the phone, didn't I?
Yeah. It was like the day after we were at the Buxton, wasn't it? It was a day or 2 after that.
It was, and it was, and then I knew the camera wouldn't capture exactly, but
Never does. It never gets it properly, but it's
Oh.
all in there.
It's spectacular. I know it is. I know.
Always. That's the thing. That I always wish we could capture it on video and have it to their relive. But sometimes there's things that are too high a frequency to even be caught on these devices right now.
Well, what was interesting is that there were 4 other people there, and you could hear all of our reactions to it.
Yeah, exactly. And you know them sorts of things are so genuine and authentic.
Yeah, you can't, you wouldn't make those reactions if it was just a normal son.
Exactly.
So it is pretty special. I look like shit in the video, but it's pretty special.
Yeah, but they're the best moments when it's just caught off guard. Just in that moment, you just like, get the camera out. You've got to try and get, because you can see the authenticity and you can see the energy. You can feel the energy. And that for me is whenever I don't watch much anymore, really, not at all. But if I do watch things, you always know that it's resonant from how you feel when you watch it. And that's what people will get is the truth.
Well, that's exact. When I watched the cut of it yesterday, I was going, it was like I was still there.
Yeah.
It was brilliant.
Powerful.
I love these moments. So yeah, we've got a lot of stuff. I've been very busy, as you can see. There's a lot of stuff.
It's been a busy time. It's been a busy time for everyone, hasn't it?
Yeah, but I keep every time I speak to a healer, there's like, you need to sleep more. You need to do this and do that, and I'm like, yeah. But
no, the thing is, I understand. I'm probably an exception to most because I live a very overactive life. I've got a very overactive mind, and I really struggle to just turn off. So
Yeah, me
I
too.
can be sat there, watching television or some form of YouTube video whilst painting and whilst doing like I always have to be stimulating the mind. I do work on that a little bit more now, but I think it's about finding the balance. So I live a very overactive mind and lifestyle, but then I make sure I'm out in nature. I make sure I'm barefoot out in nature with no headphones on, no phone, and just walking out there and connecting in for at least 5-10 minutes a day when I'm dog walking and stuff like that. So I just try and integrate the moments of peace and mindfulness and connectivity and rest and healing into my lifestyle. And I have slowed down naturally in terms of I got drawn to do things I more wanted to do, and instead of that, so things do change as you grow, but it's just finding that balance, between productivity and creation, but then making sure your vessel's not at the level of exhaustion.
Can you stop being half my age and twice as wise as me, please?
It's most people in life. Do you know, it's one of the things when I'm so young, they look at me and the first thing they say, like, you're a very old soul. I'm like, yes, I'm aware of this, And most of my friends, people in my life, I resonate a lot with older people, and that's not I love being with young people, but I struggle to have the conversations that with that extra experience. And I think sometimes that's what having an older soul or having an older age soul, whether you're an older person or an older soul as a younger person, that's where I connect with. It's that in-depth experience and that knowledge to kind of have more of a reflection rather than just acting in that moment, and looking at the whole thing, the bigger picture sometimes. It's nice to meet people that have that perspective as well.
Well, I had some good news this morning. Which you'll do it. Let's see if I can share this with everybody. Now, this is not going to make, some of you are going to get annoyed with this because you didn't get tickets, but got these guys playing at the gig.
99% singing, we are the 99%. Singing, we are the 90. Together we are mighty. We are the 99%. Queen will be arrested in a dressing gown. The Queen will be arrested in a dressing
It wasn't quite right about that one, but it's that was the Daz Band, and that's Daz. He's been on my show before, and Phil Escott, who was on the other day, is also in that band.
Awesome.
And I said to Phil, "Do you think they'd be interested in playing at the gig in Manchester?" And he went, "Yeah." And they confirmed this morning. So
Awesome. That's so cool. I remember, I think I've seen them at the protest in London a couple of years ago.
they're actually a really good band. You know, it's not just that one song they've got. So, but you know, and Daz also edits the Light Paper. Do you ever get that?
Yeah. Again, I've seen that down in London when I was down there, and got onto that a little bit. Spreading every time I get one, I leave it on a bus or somewhere public so it can get spread around.
Well, 75% of the world are NPCs. They're never going to read it.
No, exactly. But you never know, that one little person. And the point is, I don't try and enlighten or awaken others, because there's a fine line between, you've got people that really go out there and make it their mission to like wake people up, and that's okay. But that was never really my, we all got a bit of that calling in 2020. Don't get me wrong, but it's more for me. I plant the seeds where they're ready to be planted, and they then have the choice whether to water them seeds. So I can bring knowledge and experience and guidance, but really it is always up to that individual person whether they want to do the work. There is nothing that we can do that will drag them through that process. They have to choose within self to do that inner work.
Absolutely. Hello, Abby Wynn. She's in the chat.
Hey, Abby.
Hey, Abby.
Awesome.
Say hello to a few people. Sean, and I hope that's correctly said. Sean Evans. I'm at the point of exhaustion. Yeah, it's kind of like being, oh, I'm really tired, but then you just keep going. That's the energy for me at the moment. I'm grounding myself as much as I can, and I just can't stop. I cannot stop. I'm working all night. I mean, have you heard any of my stupid, my New Lord's Prayer and all that kind of thing? It's just I've got to keep outputting. It's just part of the way it is at the moment.
But you're listening to what it is that you're being called to do, and I think you have a certain discernment in yourself for when it is a little bit too much and you just even need a day off or half a day off. You're not completely disconnected with self. You might push yourself a lot, but you do have that boundary and respect within self, and enough people around you that tell you, that make you think about it. And then it is, referring to that lady's comment about being exhausted, it is a common theme right now for a lot of light workers. Like, there is so many individuals, which is really what I wanted to talk about a little bit, is like the processes that everyone's going through right now and the experiences that people are going through, because it seems to be that now more than ever there is very reoccurring themes. There is a lot of individuals who, don't get me wrong, anyone that understands these concepts and understands this way of life will have experienced some form of pain and dark night of the soul throughout their journey. But at this current moment in time, it's like we're going, as I'm going back to my little onion reference, we're going to the deeper layers to rid any subconscious programs, any defense mechanisms, any lower vibrational patterns and frequencies. So the best analogy I can describe it as is like a computer system, the old computers. And if you look in that computer system and there's hard drives and systems that are in place that are old systems and old hard drives that are not actually benefiting that computer in any way. If anything, they're sending energy to other computers and they're compatible with other frequencies, but not their own. It's like the whole computer system is not running at its optimum level to then be able to express and connect with the internet and connect with the different levels, because it's not at its optimum level. So we have to really go into our system and figure out where the parts and the hard drive and the subconscious programs, because so many of our personality traits can become what we think is personality traits, whereas in actual fact it's a defense mechanism, it's a trauma response. And I know personally, and I've worked with a lot of individuals who have been healing for years. So many of us have been healing for years, and that doesn't discredit the healing work that you've been doing for years. But the time in the universe, the time in the world, the time in the consciousness, the vibrational energy wasn't able to hold the frequency enough for individuals to go this deep at this point as we're going now. So many individuals are now having the opportunity to have reflections of really deep inner shadow work that's coming out. Deep reflections of self, parts of self that we've had guilt and shame and repression from childhood, teenage years, adolescence, all these parts of self that we've repressed down and disconnected away from. A lot of them parts are resurfacing back up now with a vengeance. And that is causing physical ailments, sciatic nerve, Achilles heel, back problems, spine problems, headaches. There's a lot of physical ailments that are being signified. But with the sciatic nerve, it's the inner child and the inner teen, you know, calling out. So the point I'm trying to make here is we have 3 stages. There's the dark night of the soul, the white zone of expansion, and the red zone rising. And we can flip between them first 2 sections quite frequently. So we can sit in the dark night of the soul. We have usually a chapter of deep learning and deep soul expansion, and that usually does involve some form of emotional or physical pain, you know. And then we have the expansion of why, the connectivity of who we are on a multidimensional level, the connection to our abilities as a multidimensional being, so much more out there, the potential with this team, the magic of manifestation, the ability of all the things that we have connected in our own power and magic. And then we have this integration where we're going through now, where people know some of that, but then they're having to really shift out the toxification and the patterns and the programs that are pulling them back to that lower vibrational frequency, pulling them back into depression and pulling them back into poverty, pulling them back into pain, you know. So it's like we really have a yo-yoing going on in the mass collective of light workers right now between the dark night of the soul and the white zone of expansion of consciousness, to prepare everyone for what's coming, which is the rising and the embodiment of them transformations into one being. And it is a big massive thing that's going on right now in a huge multidimensional level. And I think because there is so much of it going on, you know, it's like, how do we expand and get through these dark chapters when we thought we was over that part, when we thought we'd done that, and then it's come back and it's like that disheartening energy, that disappointment, that disconnection, feeling like a failure, you know. But that's the point. It's the point to challenge them thoughts and negative self-beliefs and limitations and doubts and criticisms and guilt and blames that we put upon self, because in reality we are the worst enemy. This spiritual warfare is a war, but really it's a war on self. You know, if we don't have any cracks and any gaps and any gateways within ourself for our shit to seep out, but then also shit to seep in them cracks, then we're literally like an invincible being, you know. I'm not saying I don't have any cracks. We all have little cracks and gaps because we're all ascending, but
Look what Carol's just said about you.
little sweetie.
She's amazing as well.
I love it.
Yeah, thanks, Carol. It was lovely.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for that. And that's one of my main things in this is, as you can tell, I get a bit flustered because I don't know how to deal, because I'm just like, no, just bring in me.
I know you don't. I know. That's what's funny.
How do I do
that? It's so nice to me.
Don't talk to me. No, and I mean it with all love. But I panic. I don't know how to do it because I don't see it as anything like different more than what, I suppose it's just me and my family are so used to it. Anything that gets brought up, I'm like, yeah, but what about this? And they almost get tired of it, you know, because that's just part of my being. But the point is, we all have this magical puzzle piece. Yeah. Not everyone was meant to be on the front line. Okay. And the ego might be like, oh, da, da, da. But the point is, there's different front lines. It's not just a normal, like, one battlefield, one war. You know, we have people literally, I have this reading that stuck with me for a long time. She was working with children that had been child trafficked in South America and Africa, and I just remember thinking about her energy and what she'd taken in and where she was working on them front lines there. And it felt so like daunting to me to think, oh yeah, I think what I do is deep and heavy, but then she's really in the deep of the pits of it and dealing with that on a physical level. I don't think I could do that, you know. I don't think I'm emotionally cut out to deal with that. And this is the point it brought to my consciousness, is we all have a role to play here and multiple roles, you know. As Honey and Dolores Cannon and all these people talk about, we have the scouts, the warriors, the bridges, the builders, the healers, but then encompassed to that as well, you know, I fit in like 4 or 5 categories. But the point is, we have different soul callings. So it's like, okay, not everyone was meant to be woken up with the children and the warfare and on all these things that were going on. Not everyone was meant to have that awakening then, but guaranteed those that are in some way awake now and wasn't then was doing things in astral. So this is so important for people to realize. Yeah, like there is so many astral warriors that walk amongst us that think they have no relevance in this soul mission, you know. And it's like, come on now, look at your own power, look at your own potential. You might not know.
You got to show us the dog. With that kind of bark, I bet it's about this big. Get off me ankles.
See,
Come on, show us the dog.
there's
Get
3.
him up.
There's bloody
Get him up. This is a pet-friendly show.
noisiest culprit of them all. He's the
Hello.
instigator, and he instigates all of the other ones. He's troublemaker. But they heard a gust of wind at the door, and it set them all off.
Or was it?
Yeah, just a gust of wind. Probably an ET coming and knocking on the door. But yeah, going back to
Yorkie?
that, oh no, he's Pomeranian. Well, he's a rescue Pomer. I think he's more German Spitz. We've got a rescue Pom, Ted. Then we've got another rescue Pom, and then a rescue 3-legged poodle. She's tiny. She's so cute. And then we've got 2 cats as well.
Why'd you say the word rescue? Are you virtue signaling?
Probably, yeah. It's like, I don't know. Yeah, probably.
No,
you know
I,
what
never, I never buy dogs. I only rescue.
it's because they're fashion dogs, and a lot of people look at me when they ask me, are they in shows, do they do anything like that? And I'm like, bro, my dogs are for lack of better words, very mentally challenged at times.
Yeah.
There is no way my dogs could be in show. I think it's because, yeah, they are like little fashiony, you know, cutesy dogs, but in reality they are very emotionally challenged. They've been through a lot of difficulties, and you know, you couldn't really come up to them and stroke them. They're really bad with other dogs, you know. There's so many challenges that they have. So I think I just clarify it out there that they're not fashion dogs, and they're not like little item things. They're very much like, you know, beings with very a soul connect, and they all have, each and every one of my animals has a role in my soul journey. Like my cat, she's a demon hunter, so she sees the demons on people or the attachments and the entities. And when I got attacked quite bad, she looked at me, came to like rub her head on me, and then pulled back and hissed and looked above my head, and she could see the entity that was attached on the back. So they all have a role, and Ted is unfortunately the protector, which means he's a very noisy protector to guard the house. So yeah, they're awesome.
When he was barking, that's what, you know, was it a gust of wind?
Yeah, no, that's the thing. He's my protector. Any noise, any vibrational energy, he's definitely very sensitive to energies. Ted is the most sensitive out of the lot of them. He's a little human, I call him, because he has human face, you know. But yeah, going back to what we were saying.
Well, hang on, just before you say that, because we're 22 minutes in.
Oh, sorry.
I've just put a link on the screen and below this, if you guys, because you just tell us quickly about this workshop that you're running.
Well, yeah, so it links in quite well to what we were saying, because when we came back from Morocco, I'd gone through some I don't know what the word is, exponential, whatever the word is, massive transitions. And that's the word I wanted. You know, very, very, very large, emotional, physical. You know, I'd already gone through all the levels, but for me, I think that was my embodiment. That was my transformational time. Oh, yeah, thank you. Yeah, that workshop day. So the workshop day, I created it in terms of before I even knew what it actually is all about. So I got it as a transformation day, and as I started to channel in more, I realized it's actually about encompassing everything we've learned on a physical level. So as I was talking about the dark night of the soul, the white zone of consciousness, you know, a lot of us know all this. We know healing, we know about ETs, but then we struggle to hold the vibration in our daily life. We struggle to hold the vibration in our consciousness, in our physical vessel. So I created a transformational process, an energetic process, which the first half of the day is to break down all what we've just spoke about, the inner child traumas, the subconscious patterns, the programs, a lot of the densities and the traumas that are blocking us from being true self. Then the second half, backing at Mark, I like that comment.
Yeah, it made me laugh.
That's a funny comment. I like that. Yeah, so then the second half of the day is when kind of the big energy work is going to take place. It is in person, this first event. I will be doing it online in the future, but the first event, I wanted to run it in person to know the way everything's going to be protected and everything like that. So it is in person. It's in Yorkshire in the UK. There is only about 8 spaces left in terms of capacity, so it's not that many spaces left available, but there is still some available. The whole point of the day is to embody and transform into truest version of self. Now, just let me clarify, you can do this without coming to my workshop day. It's not a necessity thing. The point is I've created this for people that have the financial accessibility and the means and the wanting and ability to do this transformational day. It's not for everybody and it's not the right time for everyone either. So that's absolutely fine. But the whole point of it is to physically integrate into the person that we are meant to become and to be able to hold that vibration. So if you want to bring up the page, Mark, I can just show a little bit of the what's the word I'm looking for, itinerary list, and it's the second half of the day that I'm just wanting to mention slightly because that's the big kind of energy work that's going to take place. I mean, I can get, oh, you've got it there, yes. So just wanted a little, yeah. So after lunch there, we've got the further down just a little bit. So that transformation work there, we've got a lot more intensive energy work here. We're going to be calling in the spirit team and the ancestors, soul fractals and past life retrievals, expanding into the giant biggest version of self, unlocking the energy portals and meridian points throughout the chakra system, transforming and integrating into true self being, guided energetic cleansing, entity removals, and the process throughout that, and closing down ceremony. And obviously throughout the day, we've got music, shamaning, drumming sessions, we've got inner child healing and trauma. And a lot of these things I've encompassed, you know, I was working with some beautiful, fabulous healers in Morocco and with Trish and all the people on my journey. And it's kind of like a mushed in version of everything I've learned. And, you know, it's not all just mine. I've learned a lot from other people. And I've expanded that into my own version and the way I resonate with that. And I can't thank everyone I met and you, Mark, for introducing me on that retreat, because that just gave me this next level expansion to get everything into kind of a flow and a dynamic. Because like yourself, I'm very creative and productive. So
Well, I think it's great. It's great that you're doing this, and it's really important people get together. That's why we're doing the show in Manchester. You're going to be on there, and the dinner in Ireland. Link to that below. There's still tickets for the Gala dinner in Ireland. It's just so important to get together with people if possible. But you know, it's not about charging money. When I did Buxton, it cost me money to go there. I didn't want any money for that, and there was 100 people there, and we had a good. It's you know, it's just about getting out and about, and you know, sometimes you're putting on something that costs a lot of money. Sometimes you can just do something for whatever.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like finances it's a difficult one for me because I had a lot of self-worth issues with money for a long time, and I still struggle with it. I'm not gonna lie. Is one thing I'm still mastering. There is. I remember being in a situation where I physically couldn't even afford food. So to have such high expenses, you know, it's hard for me to charge so much for things. But like you say, you try and work it out that right now there is no profit being made for this event because of the way we've done it. We've just ended up doing it first time event running it, so we did it a bit wrong. But however, that's not the point. The point is it's for the expansion of consciousness and the expansion of the light and the expansion of this help and healing. And this day is going to expand in so many other ways, and it's going to set the precedent for how I'm going to work, and I'm going to learn from it. So that's what I always take from it, is learning and expansion of growth. And yeah, so anyone that is drawn to come, like Mark said, the link is there. Yeah, it is in a beautiful place in Yorkshire. Obviously, it had to be in my hometown because it's protected there. There'll be a lot of protection and energy work, and there'll be really big transformations. It is not necessarily for everyone, but if your soul is called to come, then definitely get in touch. And like I said, there will be future events of this nature. Obviously, not the identical same, but there will be future events. But I think, like Mark says, getting in person sometimes is just
listen to this. Listen to this. I went and I was looking for a homeopathy kit earlier. I wanted one of the 36-piece basic home sets.
Nice.
Helena Fleming said, just get one of them, and then you can just ring me, and then I can tell you which one to take, rather than dragging your kids over here or whatever when they're poorly. And I went online, and I was like, oh, maybe I should be a homeopathist. I'm actually really interested in this. And they've got these courses on this site, and I went, yeah, I'm going to do this course. This sounds brilliant. And it says, this course will be held on Zoom from this time till this time. I was like, oh, I really, really wanted to get in the car and go somewhere.
Yes.
And it's like, there's
might be one at the local college.
There's a thing called the Alan Carr's Easy Way to Stop Smoking, which I've been on 10 times. But during lockdown, I was like, I need to start smoking. And I got onto them, paid for it. And then that was a Zoom as well. And I was like, it's just not the same. I mean, it can be great, especially if you've got international clients and stuff like that. But you know, you got to when you're doing the kind of work you're doing or what I'm doing, you've got to mix it up. You know, this is why I'm making films as well as doing live shows as well as doing
Yeah, I like
interviews.
that. I like
And
that
then
mixture.
kind of mix it up and then, you know, make
Mhm.
interesting stuff and then do silly stuff and just keep everything bobbing along. You know what I mean? And engaging with people in as many different ways as possible.
And yeah, that's the thing, you know, like
It's just great
before,
that you're out there doing it.
yeah, and before coming on your show, I didn't really work online.
No.
Years ago, I used to say, I know I won't work online. Like years and years ago, I didn't like it. It just wasn't vibrationally aligned to me at the time. You know, I didn't feel the connection, probably didn't have confidence enough in my own connection and ability years before. Whereas now I do really enjoy working online. I do like do it because, like you say, just to be able to reach people all over the world and just to be able to connect with people in Australia and America. And I run a Tuesday night group. And I do, yeah, Abby, that's a very valuable comment, actually. You know, it's
It
very
is.
valuable.
You know how much people I only found out the other week how much women spend on their hair.
Oh, my parents are hairdressers, both mum and dad, and Trish. Oh, I get it all free, but
You
there
never,
is
you never
so
see
much.
you never see a poor hairdresser, do you?
Well,
It's always an open top BMW or something like that. And
maybe you have to meet my family. Poor hairdressers in Bradford, put it that way.
in Blackfoot, we charge 3 punts.
Yeah, it's not as best, but no, it's right there. People pay, and obviously with the cosmetic industry, people are paying. I know it's like £100-200 for lip fillers at least, you know, at least. And then you're talking designer clothes, men's shoes are £200 for a pair of trainers. You know, there is so much
Kids' shoes are
exposure.
fucking 200 quid.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Did I miss a meeting?
Well, yeah, obviously.
My first pair of Dr. Martin boots they were about 20 quid.
Yeah, I won't buy out like that. I'm a right tighty.
They're like
I
300
think
quid
charity
now.
shops. Charity shops are the way forward, my friend. I refuse to shop in mainstream shops. Charity shops are the only way.
Well, no, you and my mum should go shopping together.
Oh, me and your mum.
No,
We'll go to charity shops.
you'd love this because I turned up to see my mum the other week and I went, "Oh, new coat." She went, 30p.
No, that's me. That is me. The cheaper, the better. I'm like, mate, I got a little anything. You just got to love the bargain because that's the point. Why would I pay £100 for something I can go get for £10? Because once you know how to manifest, all you've got to do is manifest it in the charity shop, and there it is. It's fantastic. It's one of my favorite things to do is go manifest in charity shopping. It's the best thing. I just love it.
I can tell you this: whoever lives in the charity shop near here, whoever goes to the charity shop near here, I threw away loads of design. I handed them 2 big bin bags of designer clothes. Somebody's got some very, very nice clothes for fuck all.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. No, but I love it. It's actually like a fun day out for me. Anyone that knows me will know that. It's one of my favorite things. But the point is consumerism. And, you know, I was literally looking in B&M earlier and it goes from Christmas to Valentine's Day to Easter.
No. So I was in the shop yesterday or the day before.
And I just thought,
I saw this wrapping paper and I went, "Oh my God, is it Christmas again?" And she went, "No, it's Valentine's Day." I was like, "Fuck." I thought I'd just lost a year.
It's just getting bigger and bigger. And it's like that if you can't see the manipulation of the mind, the manipulation of your money, you know, the financial freedom it's taken away from you by all these things, you know, the point is give your loved ones presents, usually give them appreciation and love and gratitude when you feel like doing it rather than when society tells you to do it, because then it's a lot more authentic anyways.
Anyway, I want to move on to this because Sassy Lassie's put at this point attack spiritually. Now, I was on the phone to a friend. No, I was listening to a message from a friend this morning. She said she'd been massively spiritually attacked over the last couple of days. And
there has been bad attacks.
That's what I'm coming to, because this and does this relate to well, I know why it's happening, but you know, what's your feeling about how much darkness there is left to be able to do this? Because for me, it's certainly
Yeah, great question that, because there is a lot of people that say that there's less darkness, which I do resonate with. I'd say if we're working on percentages, which is not always accurate, but let's go on that, 80 to 85% of it is gone. So I'd say there's 20 to 25% left. However, I do think that what is left is a lot more on the higher scale of power than what has been removed.
Nasty.
Yes, a lot more. I don't think it's as powerful as us, is it? But I do think it's got a kick to it. Let's put it that way. And the main thing I've been getting right now is because I've been doing entity removals, you know, all these different basically demon hunting, I call it in a jokey way, for years. And what I've learned recently is, you know, working with other light workers and healers. There's multiple different ways to do that, different techniques. And I've learned some new techniques, but these new techniques mean that you kind of, it's all to do with the transformation, the embodiment, but you have to be at the energetic level of kind of, but I'm going off track here. The point is, there is multiple different attacks, and group work right now, like connecting in with a team or another person for support, is the best thing you can do. So we have a little team. I talk to Honey, I talk to Abby, I talk to Antonia, I talk to Trish. There's a whole team of us there, you know, some of Honey's team. And if I'm feeling the slightest bit out of whack, so I've been using this kind of discernment. I actually have some worksheets that I did for a power of protection workshop, so I'll send you them over, Mike. You can put them in the Telegram, because they're really good for discerning between when you're being energetically attacked. Because especially if you're someone like myself that suffered with mental health, you will not necessarily know if it's your own thoughts or not, and you kind of have unpredictable thoughts, unpredictable erratic emotions, darker thoughts about self and other people that are trying to help you. You can have suicidal thoughts potentially. There can be manipulation of the mind, and it is so overwhelming to not know. I can be absolutely fine, and then 10 minutes later I'm just unpredictably crying about something so small, and you think it's your own stuff. You think it's your being overwhelmed. You think it's you. And this is so important. They don't always come in terms of scaring us and making you feel fear. Sometimes they infiltrate through the consciousness to stop your consciousness expanding to the light. It's to throw you off the path of light. The more people they throw off the path of light, the better the odds are for them, right? So they target a lot of powerful light workers, but they target a lot of powerful light workers that don't know their own power right now. So a lot of those that are not in, living the true power.
Yeah, I've been telling people that most of the people that watch the show are light workers, but some of them don't realize it.
Yeah.
Some of them do, and they're amazing. But we're all light workers, really. I'm trying to find,
like you say, we've got the odd NPC and all that, but the ones that are in tune and connected now, it really is like there is so many different variations of attacks. But as I've said before, we can use the 3D methods of crystals and herbs, but really just calling in the angels, calling in Archangel Michael, asking him to clear the space. The native Indians, they bring us staff and they clear out all the, the spaces. And yeah, also, I think being vocal about that stuff, I won't say the word because it might trigger the thing, being vocal about it is good, but also we don't want to feed the vibration of it. Because if you notice you ever talk about entities or darkness, I have to talk about it and say this conversation is protected, this conversation is vibrationally aligned. Because if I start talking about an attack or an attachment, I'm bringing that vibration of fear and energy and darkness. So it's really important to find the fine line between being vocal and calling it out and seeing it when you see it, of course, always, but then not feeding it and not living in fear and not living in that like kind of overwhelming mindset of darkness, because it can become very overwhelming.
I just got a little treat for you.
Oh, nice. Let's have a look.
Do you recognize this place?
I was going to say, I think I know what this is. That is so cool. It's so nice to see it again, in that way.
Hello, it's Mark Atwood from the Mark Atwood Show, Adventures in a Cosmic Suit in the Sahara, in southern Morocco, which is absolutely stunning and a place of real transformation and spiritual development. And I've just nearly completed running a retreat. We had 50 souls from around the planet come here for 10 days, and they've all been through enormous spiritual development and trauma release, and there's a lot of flies here, by the way. So, but apart from that, it's absolutely magical. And this short film is going to tell you the story of this retreat, and hopefully you'll meet some of the people and see how beautiful this place is, because these guys have already said they want to do it again next year. So maybe you want to come next year as well. And it's just been humbling and amazing to see the people that turned up for this retreat. And I brought along an eclectic group of healers, so that we had somebody for everybody. And we've just been through enormous transformations. And the land of Morocco itself is a very challenging energy. It's a beautiful energy. The people are amazing. They're much more connected to the earth and to God than a lot of people in the West, in Europe and the States are. So it's a very appealing place for people to come for spiritual self-development more than anything else. And I think we've achieved that. The team here in Sahara, Emma and Nicole and the whole gang are just brilliant, because this is a major logistical operation to even get water here. So the fact that we can live in luxury tents and have wonderful food, we had a fantastic chef, Honor, this week, it is just extraordinary. And the whole journey is challenging. You know, even on the drive down from Marrakesh, we had a really sad incident when one of our drivers in one of the 4x4s hit a motorcyclist head on. The motorcyclist just went straight into him and died instantly. And, you know, it was a big shock. But it's life, you know, life is life and death. And Emma said that no other group could have coped with that the way that we did. And we were all bonded in trauma right from the beginning. And, you know, and it's a wonderful experience to be able to be in the same place as other people and seeing the transformations that they go through, because a lot of emotions get released. Some things go wrong sometimes, which triggers people, but that's all part of the experience, and it's just wonderful. And they're already asking to do it again next year. So yeah, it's been an amazing cosmic retreat in the Sahara. So it's been an amazing time, a challenging time for many people, but that's what retreats are supposed to be about. It's about releasing trauma, growing, making new friends and connections. And so many incredible things happened this week, especially with some of the sessions with the healers that I brought together for this retreat, including finding pineal glands in the heart, in the sacral chakra, and, you know, three more pineal glands basically, which is Ian Welch has found those and activated those in everybody here, and Antonia's found some new codes that can cure all diseases, and Honeyseed Golden's told everybody where they're going in the next few months and how to prepare for ascension. It's been that kind of retreat. And on top of that, we've had amazing food, incredible music, incredible service from everybody, and it just couldn't really have gone better. So thanks for tuning in. If you want to come on the next Morocco retreat, sign up in the link below this video. There's no link below the video yet.
Powerful, that though, isn't it? Very, very, very powerful.
No, I just remembered that I'd got it. I'm not going to put this version up, but I thought you'd like to see it.
No, I loved that. That was awesome. Yeah, I really enjoyed that.
My voice though, I'm like
we just done your healing session, and then you'd been with Ian, and then I ran off for a smoke up there, and you ran off to do your interview. I remember that. What a powerful. Do you know what? Great. I loved that, because it took me really back to the emotions and the feelings of everything. Powerful, really powerful video. I love that.
Yeah, there's another version of it winging its way to me in the post, and then that will go up at some point. Because there's a long version and a short version. They were good. They were a nice film crew.
Thanks for sharing that with me, because I really enjoyed it.
No, that's good. So, entity-wise, yeah, you just got to keep in the frequency. It's just about holding the light. It's not. I said this a couple of years ago. It's not holding the line. It's holding the light.
Yeah, for sure. Which
is actually probably the same thing. And it's, you know, and there are attacks going on in terms of what's going on in 3D. Like, for example, I was threatened with prison for my boys being out of school too much during the mask mandates by the social services people the other week, which I was like, interesting, you know, because they are also there's faxes going around all the public institutions all over Ireland, teaching staff in places on how to deal with right-wing extremists. You know, so it is this constant tug of war between the dark ones, and everything's a choice. I mean, every single day is a choice between, am I with God or am I with Satan?
Yeah.
And it's as simple as that. And you know, the people that say, oh, I was just doing my job, it was above my pay grade, well, you're choosing Satan. You know?
Yeah, choosing ignorance, right? Ignorance in itself, you know, I totally agree with that. But I do think there is a lot of people that don't know their own capability, and even energetic capabilities right now, you know, to be able to just know that it can feel so intense in that moment, and it is intense in that moment, but it's about then making sure after them energy attacks, after that draining the entities, because the more people, I mean, imagine talking about this 10 years ago, you know, in such a way, and that people actually understanding what you're talking about, you know. I mean, me, for one of them people, I wouldn't have understood what you're talking about 10 years ago. So that in itself shows the expansion of consciousness and shows the expansion of where this is going. The fact that we can talk about it and it not be just some weird, crazy horror film side spin thing, you know, it's actually legit, and this happens to so many people. So many people carry entities, buildings have them with low vibrational energy. And as Antonia says, there's a whole paradigm. You have there's like a hierarchy to it, and that really helped me understand it a lot as well, because you have these entities that are being almost slaves to a higher system of darkness, you know.
They are,
And,
yeah.
and then when I looked at it like that, I thought, oh God, I've been sending them back to where they came from, not knowing I'm just sending them back to slave master to go back into another human and recreate that cycle all over again. So the way in which I'd been removing entities worked temporarily, but it wasn't actually removing the cycle. So like I said, just learning from different techniques and just exploring different things and different capabilities. It is so important to be able to do that in terms of knowing his own potential and power. And so many of us are little earth angels, and I think that's really important to tap on, because I got told that by a psychic when I was about 15, and I was like, what the fuck are you on about? She's like, I can see your wings. I've never seen wings before. They're massive. And I was like, what? I had no idea what she was talking about. And then years later, someone else said it, and again, I just had to brush it off, because I used to make it a joke. I'd be like, yeah, no, and just joke about, because I didn't understand it. And then when I realized that there is, again, like I was talking about earlier, not everyone's on the front line, and the people that are there to remove and get rid of these darker entities will usually be of higher vibrational or earth angel nature to be able to do that work. But that does not mean, if that's not your calling, then you are not working with the children or the animals or the healing centers and the well-being and the trauma releasing and building the new and the new financial currency. There's so many roles and jigsaw pieces that need to be put in for the whole picture to work. So not everyone can do the same thing. We're not all meant to be doing the same thing. That's not the point. We're all meant to figure out what we're meant to be doing here. Oh, sending love to Mary there.
Yeah.
Lots of love and healing and prayers sent.
Yeah.
To your little mama.
Yeah. We have to say goodbye to lots of people, unfortunately. It's just the way it pans out. I was thinking about, I still think about people as if they're still here, and then I go, oh God, no, they died last year. I mean, I don't know if you ever watched Julia on my shows. I did three videos with Julia Fairfax.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
She passed away last month, and I used to ring her up. We used to have really good phone calls. She helped me out loads during the lockdowns. But it's when your name's on the bullet, your name's on the bullet, and you have to go and have a celebration that you lasted this as long as you did in this bloody hard dimension, because that's what it is.
Well, death's a really weird thing for me. My granddad passed away when I was 4, not unexpectedly, and God, the trauma and the grief that ricocheted through my family was just so expansive. It suffocated everyone around me. So me and grief and trauma, like, it's so strange. I ended up working in the job I did, obviously, but the point what I'm trying to make is I did not deal with grief very well. And throughout this journey, I was getting a lot of messages years later, years before, sorry, about what's coming in terms of the earth and the shift and the conscious expansion and things like that. But I never got the messages about what's going to happen to other people. And then when I got that message, I didn't understand it. And then other readers would tell me it as well. And working with Trish, she'd tell me. And it really shocked me that a lot of people are obviously not able to ascend, or they chose not to, or it's not in their higher self path. It really kind of shocked me, the fact that obviously a lot of people are not going to go. And I had to grieve that. I had to grieve for at least 3 days of, no joke, crying and sobbing, in terms of feeling that and shifting out the process of grief and the perspective, the 3D perspective of grief, and how we view it, the sadness and the emotions that came with that, and the profound emotion that we are going to feel as a collective, as these people do not choose to ascend to the higher consciousness or are not able. There's going to be a big shift there. But what we're then going to know is they're actually free. So this is when I wrapped my head around it. Those that are not able to ascend at this level, because I look at it like, the way I explain it is like a video game. You have souls that are on level 6, level 7, level 5, level 4, level 3, level 2, and some that have only just graduated level 2. How can we expect them to grant access to level 5 when they've only just come from level 2? They're just physically not capable,
I know.
And then we've got those that are actually obviously bad, so they're not coming anyways. But then we've got those that chose not to because they've not learned enough. So they have to go back to source. But this means that when they go back to a 3D experience, they're not going to be in a prison. They're not going to be trapped in a prison with this torture from the darkness and the suppression, manipulation, and suffocation. They're not going to be in the same prison. So either way, whether they're ascending to the higher frequency, or going back to source, to another 3-dimensional way of living, they are going to be able to be free. And that's what's kind of beautiful about it all, you know, everyone, including all of it, everyone's going to be free. And that's what we aim for it to be, right? And we're going to have a connection with the veil as well.
Life is poetry.
It
But
is.
you've got a client meeting in a few minutes, and you probably need a
Yeah.
cup of tea.
Well,
And I've got to go and do some daddy stuff. So it's great for a lovely Friday afternoon chat. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks everybody for being here and for all your comments. And don't forget to go to that link if you want to go on Anya's workshop, or
of February.
there's other people can get healings on that website and jewelry.
Yeah, the affirmation deck, the jewelry, all that shebang.
Well, I probably won't see you in person again until Manchester, because of the way life is. But have a wonderful weekend. Great to see you again.
You too. Thank you, Mark. I'll see you soon.
Cheers, Anya.
Bye.